Somebody will be pretty miffed.
Good evening, and welcome to the regular scheduled meeting of the Mayor and Council. Today is Wednesday, April 16th, 2014. We are coming to you a day later than our normal scheduled meeting due to the holiday of Passover. And I will now read the Open Public Meetings Act. I hereby announce a request that such be included in the minutes of this meeting, that notice of the time, the date, and the place of this meeting has been prominently posted on the bulletin board at Borough Hall, mailed to the Times, the Star Ledger, the Courier News, the Patch, and the Alternative Press by January 10th, 2014, filed with the Borough Clerk, and mailed to any persons requesting the same in accordance of the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act. For everyone that's here, I'd like you to stand so that we can have the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'd ask that you remain standing as we have tonight's invocation read by Mrs. Eleanor McGovern.
As we stand here collectively as municipal officials, we recognize this season of new life, new energy, and amazing beauty. Lord, we thank you for these gifts. This is a time for contemplation, renewal, and revitalization, and we ask you to energize us to enrich the lives of those in our care and in our community through an open mind and heart. Lord, we ask that you bless us. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Mrs. McGovern, can we have a roll call, please? Morris?
Here.
Russell Hugo?
Present.
John Price?
Here.
Jamie McBride?
Here.
Dorothy Mitchell?
Here.
Dorothy Moyer? John Moore?
Here. We want to officially welcome back Kathy Mitchell, who's missed a few meetings, and it's good to see you again. You've been missed here by your colleagues.
It's good to be back.
Good to see you. Like spring.
Yeah, that's it. Breath of sunshine.
Next on the agenda is the approval of several minutes of meetings that the mayor and council has had. The first was our agenda meeting in April 1st, 2014. Our regular scheduled meeting in March 18th of 2014. And we have a special meeting on April 1st, 2014. May I have a motion to move those minutes?
So moved. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I have to abstain. I wasn't here.
Tonight, we make one appointment. As you know, the Borough of Fanwood has many boards and commissions that are filled by volunteers that step forward and help us basically run the borough. And we had an opening on our Shade Tree Commission. And so tonight we will appoint Dean Talcott, who also serves on the Environmental Commission, and he is also what we refer to as the caretaker of our Nature Center. So I'd like to have a motion to move that appointment.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Great. I'm going to go over to the podium now, and we're going to do a presentation. And at this point, as I normally do in our monthly meetings, we take a minute before we get on to our business to draw a little attention to somebody that we feel deserves a little attention for all that they do for the borough of Fanwood. We are in probably our 7th year of doing our Volunteer of the Month, and we look out into the community, and the council has a discussion about who they think would be a good fit. And I am pleased tonight to welcome and to ask to come up and join us Margaret Lewis, who currently serves on the Board of Health. Good to see you. I've asked Councilman Tom Krantz to join me. The council serves as liaisons to many of the boards and commissions, and Tom sits on the Board of Health. Margaret, we just wanted to take a few minutes tonight to say thank you. Margaret has been serving on the Board of Health for several years now, and currently I believe you're the vice chair of the Board of Health. You're a registered nurse?
Yes.
And, you know, which is always really lovely. We have we contract out some of our Board of Health, our health services to the Township of Westfield, and we do that as a shared service. But we have a commission here that really is responsible for really the overall health and well-being of our borough when it comes to flu shots, when it comes from vaccinations, when it comes to anyone, you know, any illnesses in our communities that are reported, as well as really watching out for any properties that may actually have some contamination on them that are being currently cleaned up by the DEP or the EPA. They really are a very valuable group of people who kind of quietly go about their business, you know, every month, and we really wanted just to say thank you.
Thank you.
You know, I've only been a council person for three months, and I've been to 2 Board of Health meetings. And what the mayor just said about the Board of Health being among the unsung heroes in our town is so true. They work quietly, and we don't hear a lot about what goes on, which is actually a good thing, I think, in one way. But the work that the Board of Health does is so terribly important. You know, anything having to do with food, with our health, the flu shots, inspecting the restaurants, the supermarkets, et cetera. They do that and they take it really seriously. Margaret was elected vice president or vice chair at the last meeting, and that's because she's, you know, she's involved and she cares about what goes on in our town. And it's been a privilege for me to be the liaison for the Board of Health, and I want to congratulate you and thank you for all your work. Appreciate it very much.
So, Margaret, on behalf of the mayor and council, we want to present you with this. As we said, this is what we consider to be what represents Fanwood. It's our sort of jewel of the town, and we think it's an appropriate gift to give you know, people like yourself because we value you as well. So we want to thank you and hope you hang this in a place that you'll remember, you know, the mayor and the council, and you didn't never take anything that you do for granted.
Thank you very much.
You're more than welcome. Would you like to say anything?
Just thank you very much, and it's a pleasure to serve on the board and also to work with so many wonderful members on the board as well.
Thank you. Councilman Mitchell?
I just want to say I've known Margaret for quite a long time now. I worked with her first at Runnels, and she's a nurse practitioner, and we could not have chosen a better person for the Board of Health because she's very dedicated, conscientious, and we chose the right person.
Okay, we had another presentation, but I don't think that they're here tonight for the Relay for Life, which is the annual fundraiser that is done for the American Cancer Society, which is held up at the high school, and they walk around the track overnight. That event is coming up, I believe, in the middle of May. I don't have the exact date, but we will post it on our website because what's very different about the Relay for Life in Scotch Plains Fanwood is that it is run basically 100% by the students of the high school. In a lot of other communities that have Relay for Life events, and there's one in Clark, which is probably the closest one, there's a lot more adults and more diversity in the sense of the community. But it really is amazing because the students will raise well over $100,000 in this one event, which will then go towards research to fight cancer. And they stay up all night and they walk the track in laps, and it really is a real wonderful event. So I want to give a plug to that and to make sure that if one of the students comes up and asks you to sponsor them for a few laps around the track, that you do so. We have 3 proclamations this month. One is to draw a little attention on autism. The other one is it's National Donate Life Month. And the third one is the National Poetry Month. I will share the wealth here. And Kevin, I'll give you this one you can read right now, which is for Autism Awareness Month.
Autism Awareness Month, April 2014. Whereas current reports indicate that approximately 1 in every 68 children has been diagnosed with ASD, autism spectrum disorder, is 5 times more common in boys, 1 in 42, and usually appears during the first 3 years of life. Whereas ASD is a lifelong developmental disorder resulting in a range of significant impairments to an individual's communication abilities, behaviors, and social interactions, and a range of other secondary medical conditions. And there is no medical detection or cure for autism. And whereas no two people with ASD are the same, as mannerisms and severity of symptoms vary. And whereas early diagnosis, therapy, and education are vital to the increased quality of life. And whereas many families living with ASD are challenged by complex medical needs, strains on finances, overburdened schedules with ongoing therapies, academic concerns, doctor appointments, lack of respite and access to skilled childcare, strains on family and social relationships. Whereas, although there is currently no known cause or cure for ASD, with proper education, training, and community supports, individuals with ASD can lead meaningful, productive, and enjoyable lives. Whereas, community organizations such as Autism Family Times with Brianna and Children's Specialized Hospital are dedicated to ongoing efforts to care for, support, encourage community participation and interaction, facilitate inclusion in recreation and leisure activities, and educate residents, businesses, organizations, emergency responders, municipal leaders, and others in the community to better understand, include, support, and value these individuals. Whereas these organizations advocate for collaborative partnerships with community businesses, organizations, and individuals to optimize resources and supports to meet the interests, needs, and challenges of people of all disabilities. Now therefore, Colleen Marr, Mayor of the Borough of Fanwood, does hereby proclaim April 2014 Autism Awareness Month in the borough and urges all residents to become aware and better educated about autism spectrum disorder. Be it further resolved that we, the Borough of Fanwood, support special and inclusive programs for individuals with ASD and encourage borough businesses, organizations, and residents to work together in order to optimize resources, services, and programs to support individuals and their families living with this disorder.
Thank you. Can I have a motion on that?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. National Donate Life Month, and that's something else that's very important.
Yes, it's my pleasure to read the proclamation. National Donate Life Month, April 2014. Whereas we are proud to help educate New Jerseyans on the dire need for life-saving organ and tissue donations, and whereas every human life has matchless value, and during National Donate Life Month, we reaffirm our commitment to raising awareness about organ donation and the importance of making the decision to donate. We also express our appreciation to those who have donated organs, tissue, and marrow, and whereas over 120,000 Americans, thousands in New Jersey, 1,851 pediatric patients are currently on the waiting list for an organ transplant, and thousands more need life-enhancing tissue transplants. We urge all New Jersey residents to register with the state's donor registry, say yes to organ and tissue donation on their driver's license, and share their decision with family and friends. By taking these steps, New Jerseyans can help save lives. The kindness and generosity of donors reflect the compassionate spirit of our state, and whereas 14,013 organ transplants were performed in 2012, and 46,000 corneas were transplanted, whereas during the month of April, National Donate Life Month, we are celebrate the life-saving work of medical professionals and researchers and the many other whose actions reflect our commitment to a brighter tomorrow. Individuals can visit www.donatelifenj.org to learn more about organ and tissue donation and how they can give the gift of life. We are called upon to help raise awareness of the urgent need for organ and tissue donors throughout our state. Now therefore, Colleen Marr, Mayor of the Borough of Fanwood, hereby proclaims April 2014 as National Donate Life Month in Fanwood and encourage all citizens to consider donating organs, tissue, and marrow to help those in need. And I can also say personally, my brother-in-law was the recipient of a kidney, so I'm sure a lot of us know somebody who is benefiting.
Yes, we do. All right, may I have a motion on that, please?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And our third proclamation tonight is to draw some attention that it's National Poetry Month, knowing that we have a very big poetry presence here in Fanwood that operates out of the Pac Grand Cultural Center.
Thank you, Mayor. National Poetry Month, April 2014. Whereas one definition of poetry is, quote, the art of rhythmical composition, written or spoken for exciting pleasure by beautiful, imaginative, or elevated thoughts, unquote. And whereas the National Poetry Month was first held in 1996 in America. And whereas the National Poetry Month offers an opportunity to celebrate poetry not only created in the past, but also the diverse voices of today's poets with literature that enriches our culture and whets our imagination. And whereas the Borough, through our Poet Laureate Adele Kenny and her able committee, has created a very successful Carriage House Poetry Reading Series at the Patricia M. Coran Cultural Arts Center, featuring many accomplished and budding poets for the enjoyment of Fanwood residents. And whereas poetry reflects the joys and sorrows we experience in life through our families and friends, revealing our deepest emotions and allowing us to create an energy for celebration and healing. Now therefore, Colleen Marr, Mayor of the Borough of Fanwood, does hereby proclaim April 1st through April 30th, 2014, National Poetry Month, and call upon public officials, educators, librarians, and all the people of Fanwood to observe this month, to celebrate the cultural riches our community has to offer, and to recognize the importance poetry plays in creating and sustaining this great nation with appropriate ceremonies, activities, and programs. And it's signed Colleen Marr.
Thank you. May I have a motion on that?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? That's great. We have one piece of correspondence that I'd like to move as noted.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We'll now move into our monthly council reports, and I will start with Councilman Levine, who is the chair of our Administration and Finance.
Thank you. First, I'll move the tax collector's monthly report for the month of March 2014, during which we collected $500,667.77.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And let me also move our payment of claims. Be it resolved that claims in the amount of $1,182,418.23, having been listed on the bill list and recorded in the files of Borough Hall and approved by the chairman of the appropriate committee, be paid.
So moved.
Can I have a roll call, please, for that payment of claims?
Daniel Devine,
Yes.
Heather Mitchell,
Yes.
Kevin Morris,
Yes.
Leslie Nichol,
Yes.
Tom France.
Yes.
Motion carried.
And Mayor, if I could also just report back on two initiatives that we've undertaken, two updates. One is on energy aggregation, which, as we've discussed before, is an idea to try to save residents money on their electric bills by entering into a purchase agreement that the town would do on behalf of residents. We were hoping to have that in place by this summer. It's just taking a little bit longer to be a little bit careful about it and to make sure we reach to the public. So we're still pursuing that initiative. We've met with vendors, but we will likely not be implementing that until near to the fall, just given the timing of the process and when we can go to market. There's another initiative as well too, and that involves the recycling center. The Recycling Association has run the recycling center here in town for many, many years, and it's been a real asset to the community. For most of that time, if not all of that time, they were financially self-sufficient. Because of various reasons, the recycling center is no longer financially independent and will consequently require some amount of subsidy, which we have anticipated in this year's budget. Because it requires a subsidy, we need to bid that work out. And I want to explain a little bit about what that process is, and the time frame for that, and what our expectations are for that. So the immediate challenge is that we do need to bid for recycling services, and within the next few days, we'll have a bid document posted, and we will be soliciting ideas in two different streams. One would be to continue the recycling center as we currently know it, and the alternative would be for curbside pickup. We're not expressing a preference for one or the other. And we've discussed all this with the Recycling Association. There are really a couple of objectives here. There have been, I know I have certainly spoken to many residents, I think most people have on council as well. There is a proportion of the population who would prefer curbside pickup. I don't know that it's a majority or how large it is, but we want to at least recognize that we've heard their concern, and they've raised some of them have raised valid issues such as they work on weekends, they don't have space in the garage, it's inconvenient. There are valid reasons why people might prefer curbside pickup. We also know that the Recycling Association has made a great contribution to the community. It's been a part of our community for 25 years, and we don't just want to throw that away without some careful consideration as well. So we're using this as an opportunity to solicit bids on both options, the curbside pickup as well as the recycling center. Recycling center, of course, we would expect the Recycling Association and potentially another vendor or so to bid on the operation of the recycling center. But once we get the responses back, we'll have a conference and we'll discuss it. We would expect that by next council meeting, we'll expect to have a determination as to what it is we intend to do and vote on it at that time. But I just wanted to alert people, this has all been discussed with the Recycling Association, by the way, and I just wanted to just explain the process of where we are and what to expect.
Great. What's the timing for our?
The bid document is, if not completed, near completion, and it will be posted within a few days. The next step will be that we will presumably get responses to that document, and we're going to have a bidders conference at the end of the month. The bidders conference is an opportunity for all bidders to come to Borough Hall and openly ask questions and all hear the same answers as to what it is we expect to do. Following the bidders conference, I assume we will have committee meetings to discuss what we'd like to recommend to council, and then we will come to council next month with a recommendation as to what we'd like to do.
Good work. Thank you very much. And as far as the administration piece goes, you're going to be introducing the budget tonight.
Tonight, that'll be later tonight, correct.
Moving on under public safety, Councilwoman Mitchell, once again, welcome back. And
Thank you.
You're up.
Okay. First of all is the police report from the month of April as submitted by Chief Trigo. There were 1,031 calls to the police department, 38 only to 911, which I think is down, which I guess is a good thing. There were 594 motor vehicle stops for various violations. Total summons issued were 326. Motor vehicle moving summonses, 162. Non-moving summonses, violations, 138. Parking summonses, 24. DWI, 2. There were a total of 22 arrests. Most of them, as I say every month, are arrests on warrants from various other communities. DWI 2 and a simple assault 1. There were no juvenile arrests, and total crimes reported were 11. Thefts and larceny 4, fraud 1, disorderly persons 4, simple assault 1, burglary 1. Let me see, we had a public safety meeting this evening, which we were brought up to date on various things in the police department, fire department, and the rescue squad, and I will let the members give their reports on those things. The library board, I know that there was a meeting this past Monday night, and I was not there, but the mayor was, so I will have her give a little bit of that report. But I do know that the, as I have been reporting all along, that we're in the process of hoping to do something with the library structurally and to make accommodations better for our patrons. So the board did select an architect, which I told you last time that I was here. And the architect did come before the board this past Monday, and, you know, the mayor was able to meet him, and they're the ones who are going to be doing a feasibility study to give us their ideas about how they think we can help the library. And the feasibility study will be paid for by the library board itself from monies that they have in a trust fund. The architect knows that we have a limited budget and they have to conform to this size budget. You know, as everything in Fanwood is, we are covered by the budget. But I do know that they have spoken to our grants person, and we do know that we can apply to the county for certain measures, certain monies under ADA. I know grant money has pretty much dried up, but there should be some money out there under, you know, for ADA compliance. So hopefully we'll be able to do that. They are still working on the website. They hope to have that up and running by now, but I guess they've come into a couple of glitches, so it's not quite working yet. And I know people around, you know, I've heard, not many, but I've heard a couple complaints about libraries and how they are becoming passé. And however, that's not true in Fanwood because our usership is up. They love the fact that the library is now open on Sunday. So if you haven't gotten that message, the library is now open on Sunday from 1 to 4. And people seem to be very appreciative of that fact. Let me see. They're going to be, I guess that's it with the library that I know of. Mayor, did you want to respond to that before I go on with my report anymore about the library, or?
Only to say that I think that we're at a very exciting phase now of moving forward with understanding what the scope will be of the improvements and what we'll be able to afford by getting introduced to the architect who had some good ideas, and with the goal in mind that the libraries, you know, how the library operates today is not necessarily how it operated 10 years ago or how it's going to operate 10 years from now. And whatever we do will be an eye on the future of, you know, where we believe library service is going.
And just to say too that along with the feasibility study, not only will there be ideas of structural, but how the library works. At the flow of things, maybe we can put something here and you know, make things a little bit better. And of course, as the mayor said, we are looking into the future. As far as I remember, except for the children's library, there hasn't been much work done in that library. My goodness, in at least 20 years. I think we put down some new carpeting and maybe a couple of chairs, but you know, so we are in need of. The library needs help, and as the mayor said, it will, with the new feasibility study, it with the idea of taking us well into the foreseeable future. Now, let me see, Arbor Day is next Friday over at the Carriage House Park, which is right across the street on Watson Road there, starting at 4 o'clock. Now, when I've spoken to Steve, there was a poetry contest, and between the Arbor Day people and our own poetry people, and they have picked a winner. And when it was put up on the website, apparently they had responses from people all over not just here in Fanwood and local areas, but from all over the United States and from...
Outside the United States.
Pardon?
And
outside the United States, yes. So they're very excited. He wouldn't tell me who won, but... So it's usually a very, very enjoyable day. So if you can come out, and the kids are there from the school celebrating, and they usually have their own little poetry, and they plant some trees, and I just want you to know that they are in the process of planting 24 trees around town. And let me see, I do have another report, library. Oh, As I read for the poetry series, that was last night. We are still having our poetry series every third Tuesday evening. I don't know how Adele does it, but she does attract renowned poets. And our musical series started last Saturday night at the Koran Center. We had a jazz concert. As I've said before, these concerts that we have are usually local people. And it was a jazz band, and the man was, I don't know, maybe 30, had written all of his own jazz music. He doesn't perform around here. He performs. He's in a big city, so even though he's local from Scotch Plains, they did come to Fanwood to perform for us, and that was most enjoyable. I can't tell you who we're having next month because I don't know. But if you haven't come out to these Saturday night festivities, it's the second Saturday, so this will be the Saturday before Mother's Day. Please come out. You will have a very enjoyable town. And I just want to say that many of the vendors in town help to support the Performing Arts Series. Usually, a pizza comes over from Nick's, and they sell it for like 50 cents a slice, so that you can get they can get a little bit of money and to help support the program. And also Mara's, last time they sent over a plate of goodies. So it's a whole community thing. So if you can get out, if you don't come out, you're missing something most enjoyable. And I think that is my report, Mayor.
Thank you very
I
much.
haven't been around, but I've been trying to catch up on everything.
Thank you very much. We'll move on to public works. Council President Hugel.
Thank you, Mayor. Just want to start by saying I'm glad it snowed last night.
You are?
Why? Because I was forgetting to remember what it looked like. Anyway, Farley Avenue, paving completed. Russell Road, paving completed. Hunter Avenue, they're starting to work on the bookends. I haven't been over there in the past couple of days, but hopefully that'll get done within the next week or so, the paving. Many of you looking at the agenda, tonight we're going to award the contract for Phase 2 of Hunter, which is the midsection of Hunter, so that's very exciting. So those of you who stick around, we'll see that we're going to award that contract. I have the report from Clint Dixon. Finally picked up all the Christmas trees, all picked up. Winter brush
You mean you
picked up. Yeah, we finally found them once the snow receded. They painted bathroom floors at Forest Road Park, so they did a little bit of a facelift over there. They cleared the storm drainage inlets and Glenwood, Rainier Road, Trenton and Roosevelt Avenues. And they performed the first infield field maintenance at LeGrand and Forest Road Park, getting ready for baseball. So that was good. They pruned some trees at LeGrand Park, and it's that time. It's time for the pothole report. That time. I know everybody looks forward to it. Potholes were repaired on Coryell Avenue, Kite Place, Patterson, Beach, Kempstraw, and North Avenue. And if anybody has any other locations, you can call Public Works. You can go on our website as well to report those potholes. We will get to them. The other thing I wanted to mention, Clean Communities Day. April 26th at 8:30 in the morning at the train station. So it's always a nice time for everybody to come out. I know I usually bring my family and clean up and beautify Fanwood. It's always a nice time. I know we have ordered good weather for that event. Let's see, what's the other thing? Business and Professional Association. Attended a meeting last week for them. They've reconvened, and Ladies' Night Out. Mayor, I know you are particularly interested in the Ladies' Night Out. Always a good evening. I will not be participating. I will be at home with my kids because my wife usually participates and has a good time. So, but that is scheduled for May 29th. And for those of you who may not be looking at a calendar, that is the Thursday after the Memorial Day weekend. So Thursday, May 29th. I forget what time it's on. Usually 7?
I think there's 6 or something.
6 or 7. Usually they go on, I don't know, all evening. Lots of shopping, lots of goodies, good time for everybody. So we'll promote that on our website. We'll promote that on the email blast for everybody in case you haven't taken down the date. Let's see, what else do I got here? I would be negligent if I didn't mention this, Mayor. Our own Eleanor McGovern.
Yes.
Remember, we were at the Gateway Chamber dinner. She got the award for Administrator of the Year. When they were announcing the award, I said, Eleanor, you're going to win. And she's like, no. And then they announced her name, and I was like, see? And then to her credit, she got up there, she accepted the award, she was all, very,
Trying to be home.
yeah, you were very humble. And I gotta tell you, she got up there and she said, I would never have gotten this reward if it wasn't for my staff. And I didn't know she felt that way about me. So anyway, congratulations to Eleanor. She well-deserved award, and
Got the whole shtick going.
yeah, that is my report.
All right.
What do you do for a living?
He's an attorney.
Stand-up comedy?
Councilman Molinar is not here this evening. He's out of town. So we'll move on to Councilman Boris for the recreation report.
Thank you, Mayor. And I'll start with recreation. First item that was discussed at the last recreation meeting was the skateboard park planning. And the Recreation Commission is engaging with ARH engineers, who will be the engineers who will lead the project and will also write the bid. Or, no, not write a bid, there are two potential construction companies, ARC and Spawn Ranch. Both of those are state contractors, so either of those can be retained without the bidding process, because the state has already found the lowest possible cost for those types of deals. And then the next part of that, there will also be a bid for construction-related stuff. So there's the park design, which will either be ARC or Spawn Ranch, and then a bid for construction-related things like the fence and whatnot. Also, the Easter egg hunt occurred last weekend, April 12th. It went off great. My children got to go and meet the Easter Bunny, and it was a good time had by all. The Recreation Commission is creating a maintenance list, and this maintenance list will look at all the recreation items in our town and put together a outline of what and when things need maintenance. Day camps for the summer, the AM portion is 86% filled and the PM session is 22% filled. So that is recreation. Also be reporting on the Historic Preservation Commission. On May 16th, 2014, there will be 92 children from Coles visiting the Fanwood Museum on a field trip. On April 6th, 2014, the Historic Preservation Commission held a scrapbook day, and there was a group in Fanwood called the Philathians.
Philthans.
Thank you. And they did scrapbooks. Thank you. Yeah, I'm sorry I butchered that one. Those scrapbooks were shown off. Coming up on May 4th, 2014, this will be likely between 2 and 4 p.m. Everybody put this on your calendar. It is the Antiques Roadshow. And that is a great opportunity. I've got a clock that I'm going to take in that hopefully they'll tell me is worth millions of dollars and I can retire. April 26th, 2014 is Earth Day. And I only mention this because on the north side of the train tracks from 11 to 2. There'll be some birthday celebrations near where the Fanwood Museum is. And last, I want to wish a farewell to Barbara Kufos, who is a longtime Fanwood resident and member of the Fanwood Historic Preservation Commission. She is moving to Connecticut to be closer to her family, and she will be missed. And we thank her for all her years of service.
She was born and raised here, wasn't she?
Born and raised
Born
here.
and raised here.
Yes. So that's Historic Preservation Commission. The report for the fire department chief. The chief recently had surgery on his arm, and he's been unable to get me his report, so I'll have double duty next month.
Thank you very much. And then rounding up, Councilman Cranston.
Thank you, Mayor. Again, my congratulations to Margaret Lewis for being our Volunteer of the Month. She does really important work for the Board of Health, and we appreciate her service very much. The Board of Health does not normally have a meeting in April. Their next meeting is on May 1st, and that meeting is at 7 o'clock at the Carriage House, open to the public as always. I have the Rescue Squad report from the captain for the month of March, which is their most recent report. The Rescue Squad had 34 calls for service in March, and for some reason that's about half their normal volume of calls. You said the police department was lower too. The full moon is this month, I guess. They had 11 calls for sick person, that's a general category, 5 respiratory cardiac calls, 5 calls for altered mental status or psychiatric issues, 3 falls, 2 motor vehicle accidents, 2 cardiac arrest calls, and 2 instances in which the squad provided fire rehab in out-of-town fires. The squad made hospital trips to Overlook 13 times, JFK once, Trinitas once, and one time transported a patient to the landing zone at Forest Road Park for the helicopter to transport that patient. 12 of the calls were basic life support only, 7 were advanced life support. In 7 cases, patients signed off and refused any medical assistance. We had 2 standby calls, 2 calls were canceled, and in 4 cases, we had an insufficient crew to respond. Total response hours were 88.2 for the month. Our total miles traveled, 326. Oxygen was given 9 times. We helped out with Scotch Plains with calls twice. We went to Linden twice for those 2 fire calls, and we went to Rahway once for an additional fire call. The Rescue Squad provided standby crews for the St. Bart's 5K run on March 22nd. Respectfully submitted, Patty Buckerty, captain. The Rescue Squad is also in May offering its free CPR courses for the community again. This is about the 5th year that we've done that. It'll be Saturday, May 17th, the following Monday and Wednesday nights at 7 o'clock, May 19th and 21st. We have 3 or 4 instructors, including myself, who will be teaching those courses. They're free to the public. The registration form is now up on the Rescue Squad website, which is fanwoodrescue.com, and by the end of the week it'll be up on the borough website as well, and it'll be in the borough email that we send out every Friday. It's, my personal belief is you can't teach CPR to too many people. It's a skill that you might use maybe once in a lifetime, and that's all it takes to save a life. If it's free, why not? And we're very glad to do it. That's my report.
Okay, thank you. A couple things that I want to just bring the community up to date with. As many of you know, New Jersey American Water is basically in the process of doing a $5 million upgrade to a lot of the water main replacements, and they're also doing a cleaning and lining project. They have been going on for several weeks now, and this week coming up, they will actually be working in 2 locations in the town. They'll be coming along LeGrand between Martin and McDermott, and then they'll also be going up Trenton Avenue. They are doing the work in the evening, which is what the police department has requested that they do, because they literally have to tear up the streets. And I want to thank the residents who have been inconvenienced by this and the noise. But at the end of this project, we know that it'll be well worth it because of the water pressure and the water flow. We'll definitely be seeing an improvement in town, which is what many residents have issues with. I want to share a very good piece of news with the community. The Borough of Fanwood had recently submitted a application to be considered for an award. And we just got a notification last week that we won. And the award is given out every year by New Jersey Futures, and it is called the New Jersey Smart Growth Award. And what is really great about this is there are probably over 30 or 40 submissions given to this organization. And the Smart Growth Award celebrates the best efforts throughout the state to promote economic opportunities, community vitality, and quality of life for all New Jerseyans. And we submitted our work within the downtown because we felt we met that criteria, and also that we had a transit-oriented housing as part of our downtown to bring exciting new opportunities. And they picked 4 projects throughout the state of New Jersey, and Fanwood was one of the 4. So in June, we are going to be recognized at the North Club as a recipient of the 2014 Smart Growth Award for our work on the downtown. And I have to say this is a very prestigious award that the borough has been recognized for our work. And it is a moment after close to 10 years of actual work on the downtown and probably decades of talking about work on the downtown, that I think everyone that sits up here and everyone that is Councilman Prentice in the audience has been a part of in the past can really take a moment of pride to recognize that we have been recognized as a leader and a model to do what we're doing here in Fanwood. So that's a really great thing. I will now open the meeting to the public. For any members of the public that wish to come forward at this time, please just state your name for the
Agenda
record.
items only, Mayor?
So moved.
Agenda items only?
Oh, we'll see. I'm open. I'm open to move it along. Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Good evening. Yeah, I must apologize.
Do you have a name?
It's a bad habit. But you said all in favor, I said aye. Congratulations to...
Can you tell the public who you are?
I'm Fred, no, I'm Tony Parenti. I live at 16 Pleasant Avenue. Congratulations, Eleanor, on your award. And I see your wife has left, but congratulate her as well. What I want to ask Mr. Hugel is, we went through great pains of on Hunter Avenue to get a sidewalk, and even greater pains to not have a crossover, only to be told this week that by a extremely reliable source, there is a crossover at Hunter and Watson. Is that true?
I'm not aware. I'll check with the borough engineer, but the sidewalk, as you know, last year, the sidewalk was going to be on the eastern side.
Yes, exactly where it's at.
Of Hunter.
And stay that way all the way.
And the sidewalk is on the eastern side, on the part by the school.
And it'll go
On the
all the
north.
way to Madison.
Right.
Okay, then from Madison, is it going to stay, is the crossover going to be on Madison? Or is the crossover going to be on Martine?
When you say, well, we don't have any firm plans or design for Madison as of yet.
I would suggest Madison over Martine's, because it would be less confusion
Right.
if you do it. And then that'll lead you directly to the...
Our understanding is American Water is going to come through and do the north side of town, either next year or the year after, so I'm not sure where that leaves us with Madison, because as you know, the water main actually goes underneath Portland,
Yeah.
underneath Madison. So my expectation would be that they would probably do a lot of work over there, but Madison is definitely a street that, needs to be done, and when it's done, we're gonna look at the sidewalk there, because it's right by the school,
Yeah.
as you suggest.
And then, of course, we went out last week and we looked at 2 streets and, I guess, Chief Trigo will make a recommendation that we're going to recommend Madison for the safe routes to school.
Yes.
Grant. And that would, if we make that crossover where I say, that'll complete the project and make it very easy,
It
simple,
definitely has to be.
and
I
safe.
think that, that application is due in the middle of May.
Yes.
That application's due in the middle of May for the
Yeah.
grant, and I
Right.
think that's a good
And
place.
another question for Mr. Ugel is, who is the chairperson of the Business Association? Now,
Who's the president?
President or
Jenny Virgilio?
Virginia?
Yeah,
Jenny.
Jenny, Jeni.
Yeah, Di Virgilio. She's I forget what company she works, she's a
ERA.
realtor.
ERA.
ERA? Yeah.
She works for ERA Suburbs in Scotch Plains, and she lives in Fanwood.
She lives in Fanwood.
And what's her last name again?
Di Virgilio, DeVirgilio.
Close enough. Mayor, would it be appropriate to get into the
Yes,
sign
yes.
at this point, because I have, I read the report from the Historic Preservation Committee.
Right, which we just
What I'm
received.
wondering is, I guess everyone has that. What I'm wondering is, did Mr. Glazer, is he at that meeting?
Yes. No, who was at the meeting when we introduced it?
No, you mean
At the
the,
Historic Preservation meeting?
no, he
No.
did not, but they had the samples.
Yeah, so therefore, what he's proposing, the material that he's proposing, they really don't know anything about it because they didn't get the explanation that we had the privilege of.
I think they got the samples.
They
So it sounds like
had
it
the
from the
picture, the pictures that I brought those in, and they
Yeah.
looked at them.
Remember, he
They
promised
did not,
us
yeah, they
the
did.
hammer and that
No,
come.
they didn't get the
No,
brick.
he
They didn't get
didn't.
the sample of the brick. We didn't have it then. We took it.
Okay.
What I want to
Yeah,
point out is,
I think that what we're, where we are at, the reality is that I don't believe anybody is saying no to the digital sign.
Mhm.
I think we've gotten stuck on the material of the frame of it. I think that's where we've sort of hit a sort of a glitch right now with the type of material being on the historic grounds and going back to what probably is the original, based on this letter, is the original design, which was the brick casing, I believe it was,
real brick.
real brick. I think that's what I'm reading as is.
Yeah, but Mr. Glazer, I think what he emphasized that evening was that you could hit it with a hammer. He said he was going to bring a sample, and we didn't get that with a hammer, so I guess that's out.
We got the
But-
sample.
Pardon?
We have the sample.
You do have the sample?
Yes, the engineer has it right now.
The thing of it is, what stands out in my mind is he said that is the state of the art now, that most municipalities are using that material. And I think that the Historic Preservation Commission should have an opportunity to look at it. They want to test it, they want to hit it with a hammer or do whatever before they say no to it. If it has to go to brick, I'm sure we'll never have it in by Memorial Day.
No, I don't think so.
Opening, yeah.
I don't think so either.
Was location a problem?
Location and size were not a problem.
Okay.
And
I will say, we took a look on South Avenue.
Okay, thank
Found
you.
out size-wise, it would not fit on South Avenue. It'll cost more on South Avenue because you'd have to put two posts already exist there, instead of using two existing posts that are there, and we'd have to bring electricity. But it doesn't make any difference anyway because it wouldn't fit.
Right, where were you looking at, the clock?
We looked at the first block,
Okay,
yeah.
okay.
You looked at, we figured you wouldn't go beyond
Right.
first block, yeah.
Okay.
So, that was it. Does any have any questions about the sign? It looks like we're not gonna hit the May, but what's the next move? And it's what we'd like to
I
know.
think the next move would be to get those samples, and go back to that the engineer has, and get them in front of the historic preservation, and then possibly get some quotes for the mason work. Go back to, I mean, my recommendation would be to go back to take a step back when you had the original quotes for
Okay.
the mason, just to see where they would then, I guess, put the panel into it.
Would they do that? Yeah.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. So, yes, I have an estimate here for the real brick. This is from the company that would install the sign. So we can go with this company, or we can also put it out to bid to a local mason firm. It would be significantly more expensive to go with the brick. If I'm understanding the proposal correctly, it would be about a $10,000 difference, a $10,000 increase. The total signage would be in the $16,000 range with the artificial, with the foam craft. If we wanted to go with the brick, it would raise the total to $24,900 before tax, and $26,700 after tax. And just for the record, it's, with respect to the Fanwood Day Committee, we don't have a preference one way or another in terms of whether the sign is digital, whether it's not, whether it's real brick or not. It's whatever the town prefers.
Can you also get for me just a little bit more information on the display portion that they here, because the picture, the example that we saw was sort of a picture, versus a message.
Mm-hmm.
So if I'm reading the Historic Preservation Commission, I think they were just looking for a little bit more information on that.
Yeah, and what I understood it to be is it can be anything we want it to be. It's a TV.
Right.
And I tried to explain that to them. I think what their main concern was is they would not like to see advertising on
Okay.
our
I
TV.
understand that.
Yeah. So,
Councilman Boris, I believe, is correct. There's several different options. The older style sign would strictly display one color, would be white, yellow, red, green, and it would just be lettering. The newer styles are HD, high definition. They're larger, and they're also able to display a picture, an image, or a message. And the message can be in color, or if you strictly wanted just a white or yellow, it can accommodate that as well.
Okay, okay. I understand the reasons to try to get this, signed off on with Memorial Day coming up and all of that. I just think that we have to probably take one more bite, go back to the historic preservation with the samples, and, excuse me, maybe, Eleanor, we can get a couple, ideas of quotes based on this estimate here for the same type. And Mr. Prenny, if you have some local masons that you can pick up at the Italian
I'll
American
either
Home.
beat that $10,000 or break somebody's legs.
You can say that.
You can say that, yeah. Okay, so we're going to be working on this, I can assure you.
You go to the same comedy school you go to?
Should we have a consensus of the other sign, the one, Welcome to Fanwood, that would go on South Avenue? Was there any discussion at all about that? Was there any problem with that?
I didn't have the samples. Oh, wait, no, they looked at those and they liked it.
It would be
They
on the
seem to
past.
like the one in black better.
Yeah, I
I
think that's
happen
the
to
one
think.
we like, but that we was just gonna be put in blue, maybe?
See, I like
Same
the
as
black
the
one
one
better.
down at
I like the blue one better.
the other end.
You have
the
to
black and
agree to
blue.
disagree.
Don't put me in the middle.
So we need to figure out the location on where we're gonna put those signs, right?
Well, that sign would go, you have one now that says
Yes,
Fanwood, welcome to Fanwood. It would go right there.
on South Avenue,
Yeah, it's on South Avenue,
by the Exxon gas station.
maybe 50 to 100 feet away from Terrell.
Okay, right.
Is
Yes,
there enough room there for a sign?
there's one there now. Same time, it's a post.
Oh, the post.
Yeah,
Oh,
basically
oh, okay.
replacing the smaller, older version and putting it there. It's
Right.
bigger
With something similar to what we
to
see
look out front.
out front. You don't want to replicate the sign we have coming into Fanwood on the other side, on the other end,
Oh, the blue one?
the one the Boy Scouts did.
Yes,
point.
I'm sorry, yes,
But so it would be blue then,
yes,
not black.
right, yes, I'm just gonna keep my mouth quiet, yes.
Blue and gold.
I think Ricky was.
So
Little Ricky.
we can go
Yes.
ahead with that sign?
Yeah, I think so, I think that's fine there, absolutely. And Eleanor will button up the
You want
details.
the black sign in blue?
What we'll do is, we'll come to the next council meeting
You
with,
don't have to come to the next council meeting, you can just work with Eleanor, I think we all agree that we want the sign,
yeah.
so.
We'll bring several photographs and
Fine.
you can,
I'll bring it to the
Pass
agenda
me.
Yeah.
by that time.
Yeah, and if, yes, that's fine. Well, we can move on that one.
do you have any questions? Okay, if not, his name is Steve. I'm already lives on Charles Road someplace, but for the record, Mr. Estes.
What was that, Mr. Councilman?
Thank you very much, and thank you again for all the years on the Fanwood Day Committee. Okay, anybody else?
Hi, Catherine Balch, 33 Botson Road, Fanwood. Welcome back, Kathy Mitchell.
Thank you.
Very nice to see you, and thank you for your report on the library. I just thought I would fill you in just a little bit more on the architect's appearance at the board meeting. The architect that we chose, one of the reasons that we chose him is because he had such a strong sense of what libraries need at this point in time. How critical they are to many people, many groups in the community, entrepreneurs, researchers, students, and people who are looking for work. This architect is appeared at the board to present his process of working, and he was very reassuring in how he approaches the feasibility study, how he listens to people in the community, and how his design is responsive to those comments. So we were very happy to listen to what he had to say. He said the first step is an evaluation of the current site and the facility, and then he goes on to make evaluation and then to the actual feasibility study. So, so we're looking forward to working with him and to continuing our work with the subcommittee, the council members and the board, and we hope to, and so we're very excited to reach this stage. So if anybody has any questions,
Any questions?
please.
Any questions? Just keep us posted.
Yep, thank you very much.
Thank you. Anybody else? Seeing that there isn't any, may I have a motion to close the meeting to the public?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We're going to move on under old business. We have one ordinance that Councilman Levine will move for a second reading public hearing.
Yes. I call up for a second reading ordinance number 1403R and request that the clerk, having produced affidavit of publication, also read the ordinance by title.
An ordinance amending section 252-1 and section 252-2 of the Fanwood Borough Code relating to solid waste collection district number 1.
I move that a public hearing be held on said ordinance.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to call forward any members of the audience that wish to make a public comment on this ordinance amending the code relating to the solid waste collection district. Seeing that there isn't any, may I have a motion to close the public hearing?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
I move that this ordinance be adopted on second reading and final passage, and if adopted, be published as required by law.
Second.
I think we have a roll call, please, Mrs. McGovern.
Jim Giovanni,
Yes.
Jim Morris,
Yes.
Russell Hugo,
Yes.
Tom Kenny,
Yes.
Catherine Mitchell,
Yes.
motion carried.
Okay. Thank you. Under new business, Councilman Levine, I'll kick it back over to you and to Fred Tompkins.
Yes, let me move Resolution 140465. Be it resolved by the mayor and council of the Borough of Fanwood that the statements of revenue and appropriations as presented to council on April 16th, 2014 shall constitute the Fanwood municipal budget for 2014.
Okay, may I have a second on that?
Second.
Okay.
Just on the consent agenda?
Well, we're going to go into
Yeah, I
the
don't know why.
budget, and then we'll finalize the resolution.
Okay.
You want to talk about it now?
Yeah, because, we've moved the resolution relating to the introduction.
This is, tonight we're introducing the budget. Obviously, we have a public hearing on it scheduled for May something,
20th.
May 20th. The budget had some increases, and I'll just give you a couple of the larger ones. And essentially, we've covered all of the existing services in the town or the borough remain as they were. The overall appropriations are up about $272,000. Most of that is made up in the police budget is up 127. Debt service is up 167. Snow removal is up 40,000. To offset that, the pension appropriation is actually down 68,000. If you just net those four together, that's 266,000 just for those four items. And the overall total is up 272. So the rest of the budget is a little up here, a little down over here and there, but those four items really comprise the majority of what's different from the prior years. As I said before, the budget incorporates all of the existing services. There's no additions, there's no deletions. Everything is added in there. We did have to provide some money, as Councilman mentioned earlier, about recycling. We put some money in there for a recycling center, which wasn't there in the past. But other than that, pretty much the same budget as you've seen in the past. I think you all should have had a pie chart in front of you, which has a breakdown of the overall tax levy and a municipal share of that tax levy combined with the county and the library. And as you can see, as usual, and which is fairly normal in most municipalities, similar to Fanwood, 60% of the tax levy goes to the school board. That's very standard in suburban communities, that the majority of the budget of the tax levy, I should say, goes to the school board. The municipality gets about a little less than 20% of the total, and the rest goes to the county and the library. The school number in there is the number that the school board has already approved, so that's a legitimate number. The county number is an estimate that you're seeing in there, because I don't really know what the county number is at this point, and our number is based on the budget that's introduced. And to cut to the chase, you had all gotten, when we had talked about this at the agenda meeting, I handed out these tax rate calculations. Nothing's changed from that tax rate calculation you had then. The municipal share of the tax levy on an average house is up $71.93. When you net that with the library is down slightly, so you net the two together, it's about $70.74 when you net them together. The school is the majority of the increase, which is about $225.
And what are you estimating for the county?
The county, I estimated 43. Anybody have any questions? Again, this is just introduction. The adoption won't take place till May. We do have an opportunity to amend it if we want to. If there's any sentiment about making some changes, and we can do that after that, the public hearing in May.
I think so. So when you add them all together, you got $225 for the school board.
It comes out to about $340.
Right.
Right, okay.
Altogether.
Okay. Is there any comments on the budget? Councilman Levine, is there anything you want to say as the chairman?
It's a challenging budget, and as Fred, who's our chief financial officer, said, we have certain costs that are fixed. Some go down. Others, like debt service, are kind of a reflection of the market, and they are what they are. And we're trying to control those things. Actually, each year there's state caps. We're actually spending under what that state cap would be, and are setting aside a little bit in the cap bank. So although it is a sizable increase, we're actually are not even at the cap limit. We're coming in below that. And I just want to
about 175,000 below the
below the cap, which we can save for a rainy day next year or later if need be.
And just so for the residents, the lay people to understand that, we're sort of capped at raising taxes one year over next by 2%.
There's a 2% cap with certain exceptions. You can bank, as Councilman has mentioned, you can bank some of the cap from prior years. Right now, we have probably have $500,000 in the bank that we could use if we had to, but that's $500,000 you'd have to raise in taxes, and I don't think anybody's going to do that.
So even though the state imposes fairly strict limits on how much our budget can increase, even with those strict limits, we're actually not bumping up to the limit. We're actually falling a little bit short and continue to save just a little bit of money. So it is an increase, and we're never happy about that. But we are really trying to control the cost, and I want to thank Fred for really a lot of hard work in keeping the numbers as competitive as they are.
Part of the budget process was looking also at our capital, which we are going to be introducing a little bit later.
If I can make a note on that too, one of the costs when a chief financial officer was explaining some of the increases that we're having, one of those increases is the debt service. That's what we pay on the bonds and things that we borrow. And that's obviously a number, like all households, we want to keep that under control and manage that carefully. So actually this year, a little bit later, we'll be introducing the capital spending for this year, which is actually a pretty fair reduction from prior years. None of us want to see debt service continue to consume more of the budget than it is, and so as markets change, as interest rates change, and as we try to adapt to things, we are scaling back the borrowing, and we'll notice the probably roughly at least $500,000 less than last year.
Last year our bond ordinance was, I think, $1.8 million, and this year it's only $980,000. So it's close to $1 million less.
It's a sizable reduction, and we're doing that precisely because we don't want to be in a situation where every year we have to hear that taxes are going up because our debt service is going up. We're trying to manage that very, very proactively.
And part of the capital, was that where we were including the matching funds for the possible grant for both the fire truck and the ambulance?
That's not in the capital side, it's actually in the operating budget.
Okay.
I took it out of capital and put it in the operating budget.
Okay, okay. I had talked to our CFO earlier this evening, and I had asked him to really go back into the operating budget and to see what further reductions that we can make without affecting any of the services that we are providing. So I want to do that exercise, between now and the time that we go to our public hearing, to see where we can what we can do to the $70 number that we're carrying, knowing that between the schools and the county, we don't have any control over that, but I think whatever we can do would be in the best interest of the residents.
Okay. We have an Administration Finance Committee meeting next week, and we'll address that at that meeting.
Thank you.
And I think, as Dan had said, the debt services right now is about 10% of the budget, and we want to keep, we don't want it to get past that if we can avoid that. You start getting debt service becoming more than that, it starts to become an issue
Right.
with rating agencies, and
Right.
it's
Right.
indicative of a problem. And we don't want to
And we don't want to get there. which is
we
why
don't want to get
we
there
don't
if
wanna
we
get
can
there at all.
avoid that.
Right.
So we have to be a little bit more judicious in what we spend our money, the capital money on. In fact, if you notice, there is a capital budget is attached to this budget you're introducing, where I went back and I put numbers in the next couple of years, and I limited it to about $1 million a year in each one of those years. The numbers are arbitrary. The only numbers that are accurate in terms of what we're actually doing are in 2014. The other numbers are all just estimates, but you can see that I tried to keep that number realistic in terms of what we can afford to do. We're not going to be able to afford to do everything that we may want to do. You're going to have to make decisions about what you can do.
Is there a,
It's in the back of the budget,
okay.
in the last couple of pages. And actually, I'll tell you what sheets.
Yeah, because I would like to be able to get a sheet, an updated one from the one that we had worked on that listed everything in the.
Well, that's in the ordinance.
That's in the ordinance for tonight.
That's in the
But
ordinance.
it's still, it's lumped together, you know what I mean?
This
It's
is one
still-
thing,
So is this.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
But if you look in the back for, like, on sheet 33C, you can see that it lists capital projects going from 2014 to 2019. And it just has them in broad categories. It doesn't have them, there's no detail of anything.
Right.
The one for 2014 is actually what we're doing in this ordinance tonight.
Right.
The other ones are all things that are just, the further out you go, the more, they're just numbers on a piece of paper at this point.
Right, but what the mayor, I think what the mayor had requested was we compiled, Ms. McGovern had compiled
Yes.
from all departments, all of the various projects.
Yeah, we can do that.
That we wanted, and as council, we had discussed the projects that were actually going to be included in this year's budget.
Right.
And you would like a detailed list.
yeah,
Is that?
the revised one, because the
Yeah.
first one we were working on had the over.
I don't have it with
long,
me.
Over $2 million, and then we cut that one,
By half.
yeah, by half, and then, we had talked about what we were deleting.
Right,
Right.
But I just want to see exactly.
to reconcile that back,
Yeah.
right.
And when we introduce the ordinance, I can go through that. I think I pretty much know what they are.
Okay,
Okay.
okay. Any other comments?
I just have a question, and I'm sorry I wasn't here for the budget meetings, but did you say before that you had put money into the budget for an ambulance?
There's a grant application out there for FEMA to get
Okay.
an ambulance that
was for
requires
the
a
match.
matching fund.
Right, okay.
There's money in the operating budget for the matching fund for that FEMA grant that we made an application for.
Okay,
We made the same application for a fire engine.
right, because I know that they were talking about an ambulance, that we're going to do a new ambulance in the relatively near future, but that they had decided that this was not the year, that it will be.
Well, it'll be
So
the year.
that's why I was
It'll
questioning.
be the year if we get the grant
I
from
know.
FEMA. But we had to put money in someplace for the matching funds.
Okay.
Because when it comes up, if we don't have the matching funds, we're not gonna get the grant.
Right,
Okay.
gotcha.
Okay, so with that, we introduced the resolution, I moved it, and did we have a second on it?
Yes.
You had a second, okay. Is it a voice vote?
I'll take the roll
Okay.
call. All right, it is a voice, but I'll take the roll call just at the end of it. Vinnie Levine,
Yes.
Kevin Boris,
Yes.
Russell Hugo,
Yes.
Tom Krantz.
Yes.
Kathy Mitchell.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay.
Can deal with new business?
You've got next
Sure.
resolution,
Sure.
I guess that's, is that,
Yeah. So I will move Resolution 140466, which is to appoint as an alternate representative.
We can do this as a consent
Yeah.
agenda.
Oh, okay, good.
Which
all.
ones?
Right
2
down
through
to
5.
83,
2 through 7.
66,
No.
67,
No,
68,
yeah, those are-
83,
No, 2, 3,
66,
2 through 5.
2, 3, 4, and 5.
Okay, that's right.
68, and 83, right?
Okay,
Okay.
then I would then move 140466, 140467, 140468, 140483 as a consent agenda.
Second.
Can I have a second on that, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Now I'll move 1406S, which is a bond ordinance providing an appropriation of $982,650 for various capital improvements for and by the Borough of Fanwood.
Second.
Okay, and again, this is,
This is for the current year. Is this where you'd like, Fred, do you
Yeah.
have a detail of what this is?
Well, I'll try to do it from memory if I can. If you look at the ordinance, I think it's section 3, which is on the second page. It lists 3 broad categories. The acquisition of various equipment is,
Yep.
there's a variable message board for the police department. There was fire truck equipment that would be added on to the fire engine if we get the grant. And there was some tires that we had to get for one of the major DPW pieces of equipment that was, believe it or not, $10,000 for tires. In the improvements to borough property, there's money for the tennis courts. I believe it was $75,000. There's $100,000 for the library. There's $50,000 for the municipal building. I think that makes up. I think that pretty much covered it. And in the roads, it tells you it's Vinton Circle and Burns Way is the majority of that money. Vinton Circle was like $445,000. Burns Way, there was $50,000 for the preliminary costs. And the balance of that was the milling and construction and whatever else we could get. I believe it was like $200,000 for the remainder.
I have a question.
Yeah.
On Burns Way, I thought, because we didn't have the grant yet, I thought we were going to raise them funds next year.
We are, but you
Right.
told me you wanted to put $50,000 in for the preliminary
Oh,
engineering
okay,
money.
right, that's for the soft.
The
for
soft
engineering,
cost, we had to
right.
put that in there.
Okay, no, okay, that's right. No, you're right.
And then we had, in the overall, that doesn't add to 982, but we have to put money in for chapter 20 costs, which are the legal costs and
Mhm.
other pieces that add 25,000 more to the total, which gets separated. But that's essentially what's in this
but we kept money in
project.
there for the, for the miscellaneous road repairs?
Yes.
Like the milling and the
Yes.
overlay and
Yeah.
some of the,
Yeah.
Yes.
not the full road reconstructions, but the
Yes.
other areas
We did
where,
that.
okay, good, good. Okay,
Yeah, here it is. Actually, under section 6.
okay, so for the public's, I think, purposes, you know, the council spent a lot of time really going over originally what all the requests were for capital from all of our departments and looking around the town as far as the roads conditions. And at first glance, it was well over $2 million worth of requests that we had gotten in. And so tying into sort of not being able to do everything that we want to do and being conscious of costs, we took that over $2 million, brought it down to a little over 900,000.
Yeah, 982.
And we're still able to address our roads, we're still able to, I think, really repair our tennis courts over at LeGrand Park, which needs some improvements. They're used heavily over there, especially by the high school and the public at large. Give some money to the library so that they can do some upgrades with what they need over there, into Borough Hall here, you know, which is a building in constant need of repair. So This is pretty good. I think everybody worked hard on this piece of it. All right, so we had what did we do?
We just had a second, I think we need to vote.
We had a second?
Yes.
Okay, and then all in favor?
Aye.
Okay, then moving on.
Dan, you're on.
Do you need a roll, not a roll call? Okay.
For
No,
which
the
one?
introduction.
Introduction. Capital. Not for the introduction.
Okay. Move resolution 140469, which is to pay various overpayments and duplication of payments.
Second.
Is this for the banking?
We didn't do the,
Wait, you skipped
one.
the second
We
ordinance.
skipped
Which
one.
one?
1407.
1407S.
Yeah,
Just read it over here.
yes.
Did I read that one? I thought I, oh, yes, I'm sorry. I move resolution 1407S.
No, ordinance.
Ordinance, whatever I said, 1407S, which is an ordinance to exceed the 2014 municipal budget appropriation limits and establish a cap bank.
Second.
This is banking, what we had talked about.
This is what we
before.
described, this is where we're not
This is the
spending.
banking
Right.
of, actually, it's the banking on the appropriation levy side, which is two different levies. There's an appropriation cap and there's a levy cap. This has to do with the appropriation cap.
I don't see that. Do you have
1407.
It was at the very top of the pile, Mayor, not at the, where it belonged.
Oh,
Right behind the first ordinance.
okay, got it. Okay, so do I have a motion on that?
Yeah, I moved it, yes.
And then a second?
Yes.
Okay, and all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Okay.
Moving on.
To move resolution 140469, which is to pay various overpayments and/or duplicate payments.
Second.
Okay, may I have a roll call, please?
Jenny Levine,
Yes.
Kevin Morris,
Yes.
Leslie Hill,
Yes.
Tom Cruise.
Yes.
Catherine Mitchell,
Yes.
motion carried.
I move resolution 140470, which establishes an employee assistance program in the borough service to be provided by Trinitas Hospital for an amount not to exceed $1,300.
May
Second.
I have a roll call, please?
Jenny Levine,
Yes.
Kevin Morris.
Yes.
Leslie Hill,
Yes.
Tom Cruise.
Yes.
Catherine Mitchell.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Move resolution 140471, whereas Fanwood Day Committee desires to contract with J.C. Promotions for the celebration of Fanwood Day on September 28th, 2014.
And then a second, please?
Second.
Roll call, please?
Jenny Levine,
Yes.
Kevin Morris.
Yes.
Leslie Hill.
Yes.
Tom Cruise.
Yes.
Catherine Mitchell.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Move resolution 140472, which is a subscription to Property Pilot, Inc. to manage operations more efficiently and improve constituent services for an amount not to exceed $14,625.
Second.
Oh, my stuff's out of order. Hold on.
Do you need to review
I had
that?
trouble
Yeah.
finding that
Here.
one.
You know why? Because
That's
the,
okay.
you know why the agenda numbers are different than the regular ones? Okay.
Oh, yes, they are.
Right. Yes,
Yes.
okay, yes,
Sorry.
thank you.
Okay.
So I have a second on that,
Okay, yes, we did.
and may I have a roll call?
Jenny Levine.
Yes.
Kevin Morris.
Yes.
Leslie Hill.
Yes.
Tom Cruise.
Yes.
Catherine Mitchell.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Move resolution 140473, which is with Colonia Productions to improve Channel 35 and Verizon Channel 20 for services for an amount of $17,250.
May I have a second on that, please?
Second.
May I have a roll call?
Jenny Levine,
Yes.
Tom Cruise.
Yes.
Kevin Morris.
Yes.
Leslie Hill.
Yes.
Catherine Mitchell.
Yes.
Motion carried.
And finally, I'll move resolution 140474, which is to make emergent conditions have arisen, and we need to enter into payments in the CY 2014 temporary budget for the listed items.
May I have a second?
Second.
May I have a roll call, please?
Jenny Levine.
Yes.
Kevin Morris.
Yes.
Leslie Hill.
Yes.
Tom Cruise.
Yes.
Catherine Mitchell.
Yes.
Motion carried.
I think that completes it
I
for
think
my
that
end.
completes you as
Yep.
well. Under Public Safety, Councilwoman Mitchell, you have,
Yeah, I have one resolution. I move Resolution 14-04-75, and this is to award a towing license to George Church.
okay, may I have a second on that?
Second.
May I have a roll call, please?
Catherine Mitchell,
Yes.
Leslie Hugo,
Yes.
Kevin Boris,
Yes.
Tom France.
Yes.
Daniel Levine.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, moving on under Public Works, Council President Hugel, you have 5 resolutions to move.
Thank you, Mayor. First, I'll move resolution 14-04-76. This is to authorize the mayor and the clerk to sign a contract for DOT drug testing. We do this every year, don't we?
Yes.
Mhm.
Licensing.
Yes, we have to have it.
Second.
May I have a second? May I have a roll call, please? Kathy?
Leslie Hugo,
Yes.
Catherine Mitchell.
Yes.
Kevin Boris,
Yes.
Tom France.
Yes.
Daniel Levine.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Next, I'll move resolution 14-04-77. This is to void a previous resolution 14-03-54 because it's a duplicate,
Yes, it's
apparently.
it was my error, so we have to.
So I'll move that.
Second.
Second, may I have a roll call, please?
Yes. Leslie Hugo,
Yes.
Kevin Boris.
Yes.
Tom France.
Yes.
Daniel Levine.
Yes.
Catherine Mitchell.
Yes.
Motion carried.
And next, I'll move resolution 14-04-78. That is to award our annual landscaping contract for the borough. Make it look nice.
May I have a second, please?
Second.
May I have a roll call?
Leslie Hugo.
Yes.
Catherine Mitchell.
Yes.
Kevin Boris.
Yes.
Tom France.
Yes.
Daniel Levine.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Move resolution 14-04-79. This is to authorize our recycling tonnage grant application for this year.
Second.
Okay, may I have a roll call, please?
Leslie Hugo.
Yes.
Catherine Mitchell.
Yes.
Kevin Boris.
Yes.
Tom France.
Yes.
Daniel Levine.
Yes.
And then lastly, I'll move resolution 14-04-80. And as I mentioned earlier in my Public Works report, this is to award the contract for the reconstruction of Hunter Avenue Phase 2, because the style of construction, who I believe they did Russell and Hunter, the other part of Hunter.
Yeah,
Yes.
they sound familiar. It says,
Yes, they are the same.
okay.
Hunter Road, Russell Road looks good, by the way.
Second.
Second, may I have a roll call, please?
Leslie Hugo.
Yes.
Kevin Boris.
Yes.
Tom France.
Yes.
Daniel Levine.
Yes.
Catherine Mitchell.
Yes.
Motion carried.
Okay, hey, Councilman French, why don't you move the land use and historic preservation since Councilman Molinar's out in Europe next after him?
Oh, I'm sorry, I was zoning out here.
I know,
which one? I'm
I
sorry.
don't see it either, never mind.
0480, right? Okay, I move resolution 140480.
81.
81? I'm sorry, guys. Came to school without my pencil. Okay, sorry, guys. All right, moving resolution 140481. I'm just going to read it since I'm unfamiliar with it. Whereas the borough received a Union County historic grant for the purchase and installation of an air conditioner unit with improvements to the duct system at the Curran Cultural Arts Center, and whereas the borough solicited quotes for this project with Precision HVAC, 164 Sagamore Drive in New Providence, the most qualified respondent, whereas pre-installation meetings were held with members of the Historic Preservation Commission with a recommendation that the award of this contract go to Precision HVAC in the amount of $16,950. Now therefore be it resolved by the Borough Council that Precision HVAC be awarded the contract for the improvements to the Patricia Curran Cultural Arts Center.
Second.
Can I have a roll call, please?
Tom France.
Yes.
Catherine Mitchell.
Yes.
Kevin Boris.
Yes.
Leslie Hugo.
Yes.
Daniel Levine.
Yes.
When are they gonna do that work, Eleanor?
We're going to start on either tomorrow or Friday.
Perfect timing,
Yes.
to get air conditioning in that building. Perfect timing, because it gets hot there in the summer. It's gonna be quiet,
It's not
right?
at 30 degrees.
It's gonna be as quiet as
Not
it can.
today.
They're doing some, he's doing some changes.
That's gonna be, I mean, we need to really think about that as I'm thinking about it, because the reason we're getting that is the fans were so,
Right, well, there won't be
Loud.
like the fan, but they're changing the ductwork, they're changing the vent. And he's putting it in a certain place upstairs to, we talked about it with historic building. We can do the best we can, we'll do it.
can you think of that? Okay. Okay, Councilman Cranch, you have one resolution tonight?
Yes, ma'am. I'm moving Resolution 140482. This is our contract, our new three-year contract with the Westfield Board of Health for $41,366. It's a three-year contract that'll go up the lesser of 2% or the amount of increase in the salaries of the Westfield Regional Health Department employees under their collective bargaining agreement.
Second.
That's new.
Yes, that's, well, we've had.
We've done two-year contracts. They wanted a three-year contract because,
But also the lesser of the two, I don't remember
Because I
that.
guess they're getting stronger and it's,
Collective bargaining agreements, I don't remember.
well, the raises have only been like 1.8 and 1.7% up until now anyway, so.
Okay. Okay. Do we do?
Yes.
okay, Catherine Mitchell?
Yes.
Damon Boris?
Yes.
Mr. Hugo?
Yes.
Daniel Levine?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Okay, that finishes our regular scheduled portion of the meeting. I'd like to open the meeting to the public at this point.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
I'd like to call forward any members of the public that wish to make comment at this
I
time.
know we can. Yeah, no. It came from.
Michael Lewis, 41 Beach Avenue in Fanwood. First, congratulations, Mr. McGovern, and welcome back, Ms. Mitchell. Secondly, does anyone know the sign out front for the Cultural Arts Center, whether that's a composite or some kind of natural material?
You mean right out, the white one?
No, the brown one that advertises
That is a no, that's kind of like a fake looking sign. I mean, it's not real wood.
It's made, I know it was made by the county, I don't know whether it's.
Yeah,
wood or
it's
We'll
not,
have to find out.
it's not wood.
We're looking for something a little bit nicer. Okay. I was zoning out a little bit myself, but Resolution 140466, the appointment to the Consolidation Commission study, and Resolution 1404-70. So I was hoping for a little bit of elaboration on both of those, if I may.
Sure. Joe Nagy, who sat on our Consolidation Commission, has resigned his position. And so that left an opening up there, and he has served the borough very well on the commission, the Consolidation Commission, and as well over the decades here. And so we appointed Teresa Seefelt, who is a Fanwood resident that had expressed interest in the past when we didn't have an opening, and so we went back to her and we met with her, and so we're moving that appointment tonight. I'm sorry, what was the second one?
The Property Pilot, 140472.
Sure. Property Pilot, it's an application that we're going to be using in the borough that we had them in about, I guess, last year, right, Fred?
Yeah.
That will have two uses. It'll have an outward use for the public to tap into and an inward use for the departments. The outward use will be able to, almost like a GIS, a mapping technique for Fanwood, and you'd be able to go and click on properties and see information on that property, information on your own. Inward, it'll be able to almost be like a database by address that we will be able to use, which we can then be able to generate reports and letters. It really, we had the...
You'd use it for a lot of different things, but the public could use it, like if you're trying to locate a specific piece of property, it's tied into satellites.
Okay.
So you'd be able to go and actually use the GPS satellite to find out where something is specifically.
Okay, and in this particular contract, how much was that for?
What did we say, 14,000?
There's an initial fee, which is about 10,000, a little less than that, and then there's an annual fee of like $4,700.
Okay. Thirdly, last month when I was freezing, I was remarking to somebody about how much I was looking forward to the trees blooming in the center of Fanwood, particularly the ones in the back of the parking lot. And I was walking the dog that very day, and I look in that parking lot, little house on the prairie, the trees are gone. And seriously, and I'm wondering if there's any way or any plan to replant at least some of them.
Yes, there is. We have a landscaping plan that was approved at the planning board that they will be starting now that the spring is here.
Okay. And lastly,
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
What, Mr. Lewis, what area were you asking about?
the area in the park, what used to be the parking lot, it's being repaved and whatever else
On
behind
the
the parking lot.
Grand side?
On the LeGrand side,
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
And lastly, this is just for my own information. I know that there's no money forthcoming from the state with regards to be doing something with the caboose, but in the course of the discussion at the last, I believe it was the agenda meeting, the subject of a grant writer came up, and millennium something or another, and it struck me, since I've attended some of the meetings of the Fanwood Consolidation Commission myself, and I know that they're looking around to get a grant to do their study, that somehow or another a grant could be put together for towards a foundation that would be interested in cultural preservation in some fashion. I was wondering if anybody had ever thought of approaching the renovation of the caboose from that direction.
I don't believe so.
I don't think we have.
I don't believe we have, even though that's how we've discussed it, you know, we've always done that. So I think, yeah, no, I think that's a very good idea. That's a very good idea, Mr. Lewis.
Okay, and very good follow up on it.
Thank you.
Put him back in that commission.
We were just remarking that we haven't seen you lately.
And I thought, I was gonna say, why'd you resign that commission? Oh, I wasn't supposed to say that.
Joe Nagy is my name.
We've forgotten your name, thank you. Do you live in Fanwood?
That little exchange between you and Tony, that good-natured exchange, reminded me of a Bob Hope story. He walked into a nursing home, exchanging pleasantries among the residents. He walked up to this elderly lady and said, "Do you know who I am?" She says, "No, but a lady at the desk will tell you."
Back in. Yeah. It's a tough night, what can I tell you?
Yeah.
We had to explain it to him.
Slumber is hard to fight. In the 1960s, I think there was a radio program by the name of The Rest of the Story. It was a radio program about places, things, and organizations that were very publicly well known, but there were certain things about them that was not very well known, and at the end, the moderator of the story would say, "And that's the rest of the story." So this is the rest of my story. It's about a place that you know by name, but you also know by number, 07023. It goes back to 1874, when the railroad, the Central Railroad of New Jersey, completed a very, very big project, and had been working on it for about 8 years. They had to move the station from down Midway Road and over to its current location. At that time, the railroad belonged to, or the area was Westfield Township. John Taylor Johnson had the name, give the railroad station a name, and he called it Fanwood. And that's the first time that Fanwood was ever used, the railroad station. In 1974, the Central New Jersey Land Improvement Company, a real estate arm of the railroad, owned a lot of property around here, decided that
better for the housing development because there's going to be a lot of housing that's going to be needed. We'll attract a lot of people to Station Wood.
You mean 1874?
1874, I said 1974.
You did.
You are awake. That was the second time, and they called that area Fanwood Park. And that extended from Martine Avenue to Terrell Road along North Avenue. It didn't work out. Or maybe it did about 50 years later in the 1920s. The streets of Farley, Russell, and Hunter are the survivors of the Fanwood Park. That was the second time that Fanwood was used in this town. The third time it was used was in 1874, when the group of people who lived here and was called Westfield Township decided to form a new community. They named that new community Fanwood Township. It was part of Westfield and part of Plainfield. The fourth time that Fanwood was used, when they formed a fire company. They call it the Fanwood Fire Company. They celebrated their 100th anniversary in 1990. They published a book, the Fanwood book. There's very few of those left around. I have one. I'm going to will it to the library when St. Peter calls me.
What's he gonna call you?
Yes, he's going to call me Joe.
Okay.
St. Joe.
Okay.
So that was the fourth time that it was used. The fifth time that Fanwood was used was in 1895. At that time, a group of people who were living around the railroad station decided that they were not getting proper service from the Fanwood Township Committee for electricity, for roads and so on. They broke away, failed the first time to get a charter, but the second time they were successful. There are about 350 people in this area, and that was the fifth time that Fanwood was used. 5 times. What you heard from me was that it was a railroad station. It was a railroad station that gave Fanwood its name. For about 22 years, from 1895 till 1917, and you saw the listing of all the municipalities in Union County. You would see a listing of Fanwood Borough and Fanwood Township. In 1917, that changed. And Scotch Plains got its name, Scotch Plains Township. So now, you know the rest of the story.
Did any of that information make it into George's documentary that he did? Have you ever seen George's documentary on the history of the Fanwood name? Anybody watch it? I just found it the other day.
You mean, can you draw a conclusion for what I had just said?
I'm guessing you watched it? Or helped
Is that the one where it was that got a name from?
Farwood.
Fanwood?
Fanwood, yeah.
You just heard
Okay.
the rest of the story.
Yeah. All right.
And you can go by Joe Nagy because he was there.
Okay.
But Joe is one of our historians, so don't argue the point.
So, no, these are the things that clutter the mind of the guy who holds the position of historian. Fanwood Historic Commission. Thank you.
You're more than welcome.
Thank you.
I like
Good
that.
night.
It's good thing. We're going to have a little history lesson here on Fanwood. I'd like to have a motion to close the meeting to the public.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that basically ends our meeting tonight, and we'll have some brief council comments before we wrap up. Councilman France?
I just want to wish Brian Horton luck. Brian is the gentleman who takes our still photographs here He was also the editor of the Fanwood, and Brian will be taking over the Fanwood website starting May 1st. I've been doing it for the last 3 years. It's been great and it's been fun, but it's time for somebody who's not sitting on council to do that. Brian is a career journalist. He's a 30-year veteran of the Associated Press. He's a great writer. He's a reporter. He's got a very good brain about facts. And he's a resident of North Avenue, and he's excited to do it, and I think we're lucky to have him. So congratulations to him.
Kathy?
We had a resolution earlier in the evening regarding autism, and last year I told you about my friend who is 39 years old now, but if he were born today, he would have been classified somewhere on the autism scale, not totally autistic, but somewhere on the autism scale. I am happy to report that Michael, when we talked earlier in the week, is celebrating his 15 years at New Jersey Transit. So I'm very proud of him. He has, since his mother has died, he has become almost my son. So I just want to congratulate Michael, and to tell everybody that if you do have a child with autism, there is hope out there. I'm very proud of Michael. So, and I'd just like to say happy spring, happy Easter, and happy Passover.
That's very nice. Council President?
I just want to say to everybody, happy Passover and happy Easter, and have a pleasant evening.
I hope everybody enjoyed that snow last night. I did not. And happy Easter and happy Passover to everyone.
And let me just again extend my congratulations to Eleanor on a very well-deserved recognition, and to wish everybody else a good night.
Thank you very much. I will leave tonight saying that a week from Saturday, which will be April 26th, will be the 25th anniversary of our Fanwood Earth Day. So we will hope to see you at 8:30 in the train station for the cleanup, and this year to join us from 11 o'clock to 2 o'clock on the north side of the train station. We will also be visited by Congressman Rush Holt, who is a big environmentalist, is going to come in the morning to help us clean up Fanwood, as well as Freeholder Al Mirabella. And with that, I'd like to have a motion to close the evening.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Good evening.